Pac-12 Football Media Day presented by 76, rolling on with the new head coach at ASU, and Brock said it perfectly. I think there's a lot of people really excited for Kenny Dillingham to take over this program. We saw the emotion when you had your introductory press conference. I've talked to some of your guys, and I heard about that first team meeting. It sounds like it got a little wild. I'm just curious, and I want to talk about Bo Nix in a minute too, but you being able to take this job, being at Media Days for the first time, soaking it in. I know you haven't coached a game yet, but what is the experience of being the ASU head coach been like for you so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's just people. I mean, that's what this is about, is people. That's why coming home to Arizona State is special, is because I grew up watching the people play. It's back home to where my family is. It's just about the people. That's what this is, big whole thing we call life is about, and that's what makes Arizona State special, is not just the place, but the people that represent the place.
Can I ask about Bo Nix real quick? Because that was great that you were just perched right over there like a veteran, just eavesdropping.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was talking. I wanted to listen to a talk, you know. He's a smart dude, so I wanted to see if I could learn something.
Good stuff. We're going to open it up for questions.
All right, yeah, we'll open up to questions from the media. Please raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone over to you. Just state your name and affiliation with the question. We'll start over here in the second booth on the left with Chris.
Chris Cartman, Sun Devil Source. Kenny, a lot of talk in the room today about quarterbacks, and you're trying to find your quarterback. Just wanted an update on where you think that's at going into fall camp and the capability that you have from that group.
Yeah, I think we have Drew, we have Trenton, we have Jaden, who are all going to compete for that spot. And when a leader emerges, we'll name a starter. And I think that's the thing about quarterback, is everybody should know he's the quarterback. It shouldn't have to be me stating this is our quarterback. You would hope, right, that one person is clearly the guy. And when that person steps up, we'll name the starter. And then no matter what, we'll name the starter at least a week prior to the first game. If nobody clearly separates themselves, then it's not going to be like random starter runs out there week one and it's a mystery. Our team needs to know who their captain is, and the sooner we can tell them who that is, the better.
Next question is on the right, on the far back.
Will Decker, LA Football Network. Coach, the first guy that ever gave you a coaching gig, Charlie Regal from Chaparral High School in Scotts, Arizona, is currently on your staff. Talk to me about that full circle moment about giving him the call to come and work for you at your first job at ASU.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing for him, and, you know, I tore my ACL going into my senior year of high school. I tried to play without it. He's like, Kenny, you're 5'9", you're unathletic. Like, let's just get this. If you love ball, let's just start coaching. And that's how I started coaching. You know, 16 years ago now is when he convinced me to start coaching. And for me to be able to bring that, him on my staff now is really special for me, not just because of who he is to my life, but the impact I know he makes on all of his players and the players that are going to come through our program, the impacts he's going to make on them.
Second row here on the left.
Hi, Kenny. Hoda Rubino, Devil's Digest. You and I talked earlier about the culture that you wanted to establish. Are you pleased or maybe even surprised how quickly everything did come together, especially when you have around 50 newcomers, more than half of them from the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think the culture that you are as a person is going to be the reflection of your team. Right, I don't think you can say we want this culture, but that culture doesn't reflect how you live every day. So if you try to create a culture that's not how you're going to live, eventually people are going to see through it. So the culture is going to be we're going to have more fun than anybody in the country, working harder than anybody in the country. You better fall in love with the process of growth. And I think our kids have bought in, but you know, you truly see where you stand as a team through adversity, the highs and the lows, and they're really hard to simulate those highs and lows when you haven't played a game.
Second row on the right, Michelle.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, between the freshmen and the transfers, you've got a whole lot of new players on this team. Are you pleased with how the chemistry and the camaraderie has developed to this point?
Yeah, I think the guys understand the opportunity we have. I think the guys have a chip on their shoulder, a variety of chips. You have guys that were here last year and who was a part of a 3-9 team. Then you have guys that maybe didn't get an opportunity at their school, right? Then you have guys who didn't get an opportunity at high school to play at this level, and then they played really well at their current level, so they chose to come up a level. So you have so many guys who have different chips on their shoulders, right? And to see them come together, that's been the challenge, right? And I think that's the most important thing that wins in college football is culture. And I think you look at Coach Whittingham at Utah and you say, man, if we can embody that culture, what he's done, what Coach Smith's been doing right now at Oregon State, if we can tap into those two cultures, that's what we're trying to do.
Fourth row on the right.
Coach Paul Richardson, the Sports Cave. Obviously, everyone knows this was your job, your dream job. When you first got it, how did you temper the excitement of getting the job into saying, what area I'm going to tackle first to make sure we're successful as a team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing you do is relationships. And the relationships have to start with your own guys. And that was always the goal is first thing I did after my press conference was go meet with my guys, was go meet with the players on our team. And then the next thing was I had an individual meeting with every single player on our team. I spoke to every player on our team before I spoke to, I mean, not one recruit, but no more than 5. Everybody thinks you show up and you recruit. My vision was show up and meet our team and see what our team is. Ask our team what we need. Don't just come in here and say, this is what we do because this is how I do it. Say, what do we need to do here to change things? And I think I learned a lot of insight just asking Jordan Clark and Jalen Conyers and guys in our team, what do we need to do? What can I do to help this football team? Because we're in it together.
Third row right here in the center.
Head coach Brendan Mao, Burn City Sports in Phoenix. I'm just wondering how you feel about being picked to finish 10th in the Pac-12. I know you talked earlier this week about how it's hard to have any expectations for your teams from the outside looking in because of how many new guys you have. So I'm just wondering what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, if enough people feel that way, then I think it's completely fair. I think we have to go out there and try to be the best version of us we can be. And that's just trying to be successful. And how we define success in our program is just being the very best at whatever you're doing all the time. Doesn't matter if you're opening doors, you better open that door till everybody walks through it, because that's how success is defined in our program. So I think for us, it's not about where people rank us. It's how can we just be successful every single day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. And however many wins show up, or however many wins show up, right? But I want to see our guys compete, and I want to see our guys get better every single day at everything they do.
Hey, Coach. Jay Russell, Burn City Sports in Phoenix. Two-parter question here. We had Coach Lanning out for Oregon, and we asked him about your guys' relationship. And the first thing he said is, you're his brother, but he also wants to kick your... I'll let you... Yeah, we'll say that word. So that's the first question. How do you... just talk about the relationship you guys have. And then the second part, as you were looking over on the side of Bo Nix, I could just tell you guys had admiration, which you have for the Oregon Ducks. What skills did you learn in Oregon that's going to help you out with Arizona State this season to have a better record?
Yeah, relationship with Coach Lanning. That was a guy we were at, obviously, he was at Arizona State when I was a high school coach. And I used to come over and I used to see him on the ground floor working. Then we joined up in Memphis, and he was my guy that I would throw all the crazy ideas off of. I'd go, if we put the tackle over and then get an unbalance and then shift, what's the defense going to do? And he would tell me his opinion, and he'd ask me the same thing on defense. So he was like my whiteboard enemy, I would say, at Memphis. We go back and forth on the whiteboard, and whoever had the pen last before our meeting won. And it just grew me as a coach to learn the defensive side of the ball. In terms of what I learned at Oregon, I think one thing for me was just how to play the NIL space. I know that's a cutting edge thing in today's day and age, but I think, Phil Knight there almost created the space. That's how we built an entire company, and to be there and to learn how they navigate, what they did to navigate it, and to be cutting edge with one of the biggest things in college football that's changing. I think I learned a lot.
On the right side here in the third booth in the back.
Coach Kevin Turner, Sun Devil Radio Network. Quick question, going from an X's and O's guy now to the CEO, what's been the biggest adjustment for you, and what's been the hardest part to give up in that X's and O's process?
Yeah, meetings that have nothing to do with football. Yeah, that's been the hardest thing is, hey, we're about to hop into an offensive meeting and watch GT counter versus the odd front. Yeah, I love it. It's like one of my favorite plays. And then I'm pulled into a meeting to talk about if we can get a slab of cement on the practice field for ice coolers. You know what I mean? So those are the things that are new to me, that I'm learning, that I've got to manage better. and I've got to adapt and change. That way I don't miss watching GT counter versus odd 4 eyes.
Right side, far back.
How you doing, Coach? Anthony Morrow, New Stitch Media. Great coaches. They have a signature style of play, types of players, and personality. What can you define what a Coach Dillingham-led program looks like, and what can we expect?
Yeah, good people. I mean, if you have to say, I say it all the time to our guys, I want good people. Be a good person. Everybody knows what right and wrong is. I don't care how you grew up, you know when you're doing something right, and you know when you may be towing the line of doing something wrong. Just be a good person. That's it. That's my kind of guy. A guy that works their butt off, that's competitive as all get out. I don't care if we're playing tic-tac-toe. I don't care if we're playing chess in the locker room. We're playing the little game where they point different directions, shadow boxing. I don't care what it is. You better compete your guts out. And at the same token, just be a good person at the same time.
Staying on the right side here.
Coach Michael Caratanito, Sideline Sports. To piggyback off the Oregon conversation, I know obviously your most recent stop, but when you're coaching against somebody that kind of knows your ticks and you know his, how tough is it to develop a game plan for a game like that?
It's about players. He can know my schemes. I can know his schemes. It's about the players. You know, can you put your players in the best position for them to be successful? If you're going to look at what we did last year at Oregon offensively and compare it to what we do this year at Arizona State offensively, you're going to see 50, 60% similarity, and you're going to see a lot of change. Why? We have different players. And I think, you know, in this league alone, you look at a guy like Chip Kelly, I think that's something he's done better than almost anybody in the country is he's adapted his style of play to the personnel he has. And I think I would hope that's something that we do well is a change and adapt our schemes to our players.
Back row, right in the middle.
Aaron Slindy, KVAL TV. Staying on the topic of Oregon, other than NIL, what were some things that you learned from Coach Lanning going through with him his first year as a head coach that you really wanted to take with you to Arizona State?
I think the meetings, they have Wednesday meetings. They probably talked about them in some way, shape, or form this today. Wednesday meetings just to talk, have hard conversations, and just to grow together as a team. I think taking that mantra and putting my own spin on it and making sure that you as a team are building relationships year-round. You don't just flip a switch and say, it's fall camp, get to know each other. It's a year-round process to get to know each other and build that quote-unquote family.
Far left in the back here.
Richard Johnson, Sports Illustrated. Kenny, just earlier you mentioned running counter against 4 eyes. I was just curious because I know you run a lot of counter. What is it about 4 eyes that makes it difficult or easy?
Well, you just have solo blocks at tackle. When you get guys that play head up, it turns into a one-on-one game, right? So, you know, attaching tight ends to the front side, a counter versus 4 eyes, and seeing if they shade the front or tilt the front to a tight end, or seeing if they stay in 4 eyes to create doubles, whatever that looks like, it just makes it more difficult to create angles when you don't add tight ends or you don't arc block. You have to be more creative offensively when teams line up in 4 eyes and you're trying to run GT counter.
Back row on the left.
Coach, Luke Litton here, 12 Sports, out of Phoenix. You'll see me about 11 o'clock. Little ways to go until the season starts, but up to this point, what do you like most about the team you've assembled, and what do you think still needs the most work as we approach the opener?
Yeah, I like the fact that our guys are hanging out with each other. You know, when we have all the new guys, it's really easy to be clingy. You have certain people that hang out with each other because they're comfortable. I'm seeing a guy who showed up a month ago hang out with the crew of kids that I've been friends with for 3 years, mixed in with a kid who showed up in spring. And I think when you're trying to build a culture, which is the number one thing, it's who are they hanging out with? Is there a kid who's going through a hard time, and can I call a kid in our team and say, call this kid and invite him to your house tonight? And are they frustrated with it, or are they like, yeah, okay? And I think that's what I'm most pleased with is I think the guys are bonding and the guys are building relationships with each other. Greatest challenge is that I'm looking forward to see is how we respond to adversity. You know, it's roses and candy canes right now. I mean, even practice, we can make it as hard as possible, but until you step out on that field and fail, right, we won't know who we are as a team.
Front row here on the left.
Kenneth Berry, Touchdowns and Tangents Network. Coach, when you look at what you want from your quarterback in your system, and let's say like a guy like Drew Pine, where his game against USC completed almost 90% of his passes, are you looking for something more of like a quick strike? And do you expect to take a lot of deep shots in this offense?
I would say take what the defense gives you, which is like the coach answer, so I'm sorry. But it's the truth. I want to see a guy who just takes what they give you. If they're going to let you throw slot hitches 10 times in a row, take it. If they're going to let you throw outside hitches because they're playing thirds and they're walling the vertical, take it. Right? I want to see a guy who plays the game smart and with confidence. If you get up to the line of scrimmage and you don't like the play we called, change it. I'm not the one playing. I started coaching at 17 for a reason. I can't throw, right? So change it, right? I want to see a guy take control of the game, play with confidence, but understand Patrick Mahomes' average touchdown pass last year was less than 4.5 yards thrown distance for a reason. It's because smart wins. So be smart.
Far right, backside.
Coach Will Decker from LA Football Network once again. You have a very deep quarterback room with Drew, Hayden, Jaden, and Trenton all in the Arizona State quarterback room. I'm not going to ask you to name a starter, but what are some of the strengths that you've seen from some of these guys being, the coach through the spring up to this point?
Yeah, I think Trenton just has a really good grasp of football. His dad's a coach. He wants to be a coach in his future, so he has a really good grasp for the game as a whole. So when you're teaching him a system, it's really easy to translate into what we're trying to get accomplished. I think Drew, you can tell, has such a quick release. When you watch his film, he can get the ball out now. He plays point guard. And then you have Jaden, who has an unbelievably strong arm, can make any throw on the field. So if I had to point out one thing, those would be the things.
Let's stay on the topic of quarterbacks. Last year, you were obviously coaching Bo Nix, and he talked many times about how he finally was happy again, playing with joy. You've got guys that are labeled, right? There was Jaden Rashada labeled in recruiting, Drew Pine labeled at Notre Dame, Trenton Bourguet labeled as a walk-on. How are you making sure they play free and can tap into the potential you just described?
I think knowledge. I think knowledge is power. And when you teach somebody the why, and they watch it and they learn and they grow, and they understand that they see the game different. There's been many times that, Drew or Trenton or Jaden have come into my office and they've said, man, watching film, I watch it different now. I have a whole different outlook on the game. I think that's what confidence is, because if they watch the game different, if they see the game different, and if they see it in this new light that we're seeing it together, then when they do make a mistake, we can get on the headset or we can talk about it, and it's not me yelling, why did you do that? Or why did you check this play? You shouldn't have checked this. It's me understanding, oh, okay, I can understand why they got you there. It's okay, make the next play, right? But it's that confidence of knowledge. Knowledge is power.
You mentioned the guys earlier that you brought with you today, Jalen Conyers and Jordan Clark. We're going to talk to them in just a minute. But your thoughts on the two of them and what they've meant as you've come in and taken over this program as a first-year head coach?
Yeah, Jordan is just competitive. So me and him clicked instantly because I'm the same way. I compete in everything. And I meant that. If I'm holding a door, I'm not going to let you hold the door. I'm going to keep holding the door because I want to win. I don't want anybody else hold the door, right? But that's the mindset. I grew up in that lifestyle where you just competed. If I'm laying in my bed, I'm playing chess. Jordan's the same way. Jordan wants to be the very best at everything he does all the time. And me and him just kind of bonded over that competitive grittiness that he brings all the time. And then you have Jalen, who's almost the other side of my personality. He's bubbly and smiley and goofy, and he's just this big teddy bear that's the nicest kid you'll ever meet, but he still has that competitive fire in him. He came up to me in the middle of a practice. He goes, if that freshman does that to me again, right? Because the guy got in his way and bumped him on a route. And it was just like, man, that's what you love to see. You love to see these people who are good people, but understand when they can be aggressive, when they can be competitive, and understand you can be a good person, right, and flip a switch between the lines, and then just turn it back down outside the lines. And I think Jalen's a great example of that.
I love it. Well, we cannot wait to hear from them. Thank you for being generous with your time. Good luck this season. We're looking forward to watching your team play.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right.